What's up, y'all? It's Lawrence St. Victor, and welcome to Just Geeking Out. We're doing our weekly, and no, we're not. We're going to change this thing up a little bit because it's hard for me to do this every Sunday. It's easier if it's a little more flexible. My schedule has been crazy, so instead of calling it the weekly wrap-up, we're just going to talk geek. So this whole episode is now going to be called Talking Geek. And today, we're talking about that Fantastic Four trailer. We're going to do that Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man review. And we have so much geek news. Not all the geek news, just the geek news that tickles my fancy. Hopefully it tickles yours too. Before any of that stuff though, make sure you hit that notification bell. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Before we get into the news, got some pickups, man. So I dropped this guy about 5 days ago, the unboxing of this Platinum Guy Gardner, which is showing up at so many Walmarts. I don't know what the point was in pre-ordering this wave. You got this guy, Power Girl, and Captain Cold showing up in like a lot of Walmarts. So if you're looking out for this guy, check your Walmarts. Check them. And this dude came in the mail yesterday. I'll be doing an unboxing on him very soon. This icon, if you know, you know. Another weird one. Another one where it was like a McFarlane Toy Store exclusive. Then it became a GameStop store exclusive. Then it didn't come out when it's supposed to. And now it's McFarlane Toys and GameStop exclusive. Very strange. But can't wait to get this guy open. So let's just jump into the trailer, man. We got that Fantastic Four trailer. It is such a retro kind of feel. Like it doesn't feel like I'm dropped into the real world 1960s, right? It feels like I'm dropped into like a almost, I don't want to say Hanna-Barbera, but it kind of reminds me of like the Jetsons, even though the Jetsons were in the future, but like that kind of like weird futuristic sort of 1960s. Like it feels very stylized, which is pretty cool. Which is very also interesting because most of the MCU on Earth, it feels like you're on Earth. It feels for the most part like New York. It feels for the most part like California in present day. Whereas this movie feels extremely stylized, which is sort of a departure. I don't know, but it looks really cool. We don't get much story. We get to see the actors in their costumes, and I think their costumes look fantastic. No pun there. For it being the 1960s, I feel like that's what it would look like in this stylized version. I love the actors. The casting, I think, is pretty great. I know Pedro Pascal is in everything, and he should be because he's freaking dope. And I love the vibe he has to Reed Richards. He feels very smart and sophisticated, like a gentleman. Like there's something really cool to the gravitas he has as Reed. He's not just this nerd. I saw a lot of complaints online about the Thing, Ben Grimm's voice. I know we're so used to like, it's clobbering time, but you know, I'm down to hear a different actor's interpretation. I would rather see the movie before jumping into such criticism, you know, so I don't have any problem with that. The CGI looks very CGI, which is CGI, and I just like the Superman trailer. As it gets closer to July, it's going to get more smoother, more fine-tuned. Because that's the problem with some of these movies. Like, you don't want it to feel like it's on a big green screen. Like, I was watching the beginning of The Flash with Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton, that big opening scene that played like a Justice League cartoon. And I was watching it and I was bored. And I couldn't figure out why I was bored. And I realized it was because, for me at least, it felt so green screen. It felt so digitally enhanced that it lacked the stakes and depth. Like my mind saw it was a car chase, but my body didn't get the thrill of a car chase like I'm watching like a Mission Impossible, where there's something about seeing real cars do real stuff and real people that you kind of on the edge of your seat. Here it felt like kind of like you're watching a cartoon that you've already seen before. And I don't want that for Fantastic Four or Superman. You know, so I hope there's enough real set pieces. I know James Gunn they shot on real locations and stuff like that as well. I hope the same thing for Fantastic Four, because I would hate for it to feel so CGI, so green screen that you don't really connect to what's going on. Anyway, we don't get much of a story here. I'm sure there's a billion Easter eggs that I missed because I'm not the biggest Fantastic Four reader. Let me know in the comments section if you picked up any Easter eggs. Definitely got Galactus at the end, which is dope. I don't know this is obviously not our regular MCU universe. So I don't know where it puts this, because this is not the 60s in the MCU. They would have talked about the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards. They would have been part of their history, and we've never heard of them. So I don't know if at the end, the events of this film with Galactus maybe destroys this Earth and they're transported to the primary Earth in the MCU. I don't know, but I'm very interested. I'm kind of exhausted with the whole multiverse thing, because I feel like what is a real clever vehicle for storytelling has started to turn into we can do whatever we want and it doesn't really matter because it's a different Earth, or there's a variant, or we can kill this guy but we can bring him back as somebody else. So it starts to feel a little lazy, but we'll see. It looks dope. I have no strong criticism. It's just it's a very short trailer, but I'm definitely excited. We got Superman and the Fantastic Four like a week apart. I think it's July 11th and July 25th. Yo, what a time to freaking be a geek. And honestly, as geeks, we need both of these movies to kill it in the box office. We need DC fans to go see Fantastic Four. We need Marvel and MCU fans to show up and see Superman. When both of these movies hit $1 billion, it makes it so we get more of this content. And both studios will take more risks and do heroes and storylines that we may not get if these aren't successful. The first family of Marvel has to be successful if you want to get that obscure character going. Same thing with DC. So anyway, I'm off my soapbox. We did get some promotional art for Fantastic Four, and it looked very, it straight up looked like AI. I'm so sorry. I hate to be this critical because I'm going to criticize everyone for criticizing Superman's eyes in a second. But it does look like AI, and not in a bad way, but in a way where it doesn't feel like I'm real. You know what I mean? It needs to feel real. On top of all the set pieces, when you look in the eyes, it needs to feel real. And this art, although it's beautiful, I'm looking at it right now. You see it in front of you. It just doesn't look real. Anywho, so the creator of The Last of Us Season 2 talks about the fact that Abby will not be as jacked and as buff. Obviously, you've seen the actress. It's not the way they're going. They felt that the actress brought the energy and the vibe of Abby. That's why she was cast. Dope actress. But where in the game, they wanted Abby to kind of be modeled after Joel in her brawler style. That is not how she is being depicted in this show. So she's not this physical, brute kind of brawler in this show. At least not yet anyway. And maybe season 2, because season 2 is not The Last of Us Part 2, the game yet. This is still the in-between time. So maybe she will put on some muscle for season 3. Who knows? But as of right now, it's a slight departure from the game. And I'm okay with that, man. If you love the game, play the game. Watch the show, watch the show. They don't have to be exactly the same. That's just my opinion. Another trailer, though. We got Megan. I want to see Megan so bad. If you watch Key and Peele, you know. We got that Megan 2.0 little teaser, and ain't really much to it, but honestly, Megan was was a hit for me. I loved everything about it. I grew up on Child's Play, freaking Chucky. That's my era. And to see this dog in a part 2, and of course, like they're really hitting the fact that she can dance. For some reason, Megan can dance. So I'm down for this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Coming out in June, which is strange. I feel like that should be an October release. Anyway, I don't wonder if any of that matters. Let's talk some Superman news. So first up, it looks like there's a lawsuit against the creator of Superman's estate. The creator's estate has a lawsuit, which it looks like it's not going to be able to be shown in certain territories. Ireland, Australia, the United Kingdom. So I hope they get this thing squared away because, like I said, we want this to be a hit. I'm obviously a Superman fan. I'm a comic book fan. I'm a fan of the genre, and we kind of need those territories to have the international box office it needs to have. So I hope they can settle before July. They need to settle before July. Now let's talk about more Superman. So I think I talked about this last week a bit, but why are all right, I'm speaking to you, toxic fandom. And I am sorry, because I don't want no smoke from y'all, and y'all don't want no smoke from me, but I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. Look, I got the toy right here. Toys right here. Got him. I loved him as Superman. Did I love everything in the Snyderverse? Absolutely not. Did I hate the Snyderverse? Absolutely not. But it's over. It's over. And to hate on James Gunn and to hate on David Cornsweet means you're not a Superman fan. You're not a comic book fan. And I said this last week, you are a Snyder fanboy. Because any Superman fan, even if you're upset that the version of Superman you love got canceled or shut down or not continuing, you're still going to be there for the new version, right? I am old. I'm an 80s baby. So I lived through Christopher Reeve, Dean Cain, the animated, Brandon Routh, Tyler Hoechlin, which in my opinion is the best on-screen Superman so far. Fight me on it. So all this hate, and then people taking an image, this image right here, and making fun of his flying. His eyes are crossed. His face looks weird. James Gunn's a hack. The CGI is terrible. It was like a 5-second clip tacked onto the trailer. Like, I don't get the amount of hatred that is being spewed online over less than 5 seconds. Is kind of crazy. It reeks of entitlement and being spoiled. Because if you're an 80s baby like me or younger or older, then you know that we were not getting superhero movies like this back then. It ain't start popping off till like most of y'all were born in 2002, 3, 4. So you hating on these projects and not supporting them, even though you're so-called Superman fans, could bring this back to before they was even making these things. And I'm happy they're making these things. So do me a favor, do yourself a favor and wait for the movie to come out before you say how terrible it is. Geez, you don't like the suit? Fine, hate the suit. Don't like the actor? You ain't seen him act yet, so don't know what you're talking about. Hate the CGI? You ain't seen the finished movie yet. Don't know what you're talking about. Hate the story? You don't know the story yet. You don't know what you're talking about. He's wearing trunks. There's a script of the Superdogs in it. It's corny. You don't read comics. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'm off my freaking high horse. In other horror movie news, Matthew Lillard looks like he's coming back for the next Scream movie, which is strange because I swore Stu died at the end of Scream. And I heard Sydney's brother is returning, so very confusing. I kind of fell off the Scream series, but this is definitely going to make me jump back in. So nostalgia is doing its thing for sure. Simu Liu, I always pronounce his name wrong, I think. Simu is trying to get Sleeping Dogs, the game, the rights to make it a film or a series. Big screen, a film. And if any of you play Sleeping Dogs, you know that it is a crime that there hasn't been a movie or series about that yet. It is dope. I played through that game beginning to end twice. Such great storytelling, the martial arts. I mean, please, if you haven't played Sleeping Dogs, get Sleeping Dogs. It kind of plays like a Grand Theft Auto, but set in the dopest crime, police, martial art drama. And I really hope this gets made. And he would be perfect for the main guy. It is so dope. Stranger Things. We've been waiting forever for this because every episode is going to be a blockbuster movie. They're going to have an 8-episode season, and everyone from the cast to the directors to the creators are saying it's going to be like 8 movies. I can't freaking wait. I'm not ready to say goodbye because I remember the first season, man. Like I said, I'm an 80s baby. That joint felt like I was watching The Goonies, E.T., and Monster Squad, and all my favorite 80s loves just wrapped into one. But it is time for these kids. These ain't kids no more. So we got to end it, but I'm excited. Cannot freaking wait. Chris Evans says he is not returning for Avengers Doomsday. That he is happily retired, his cap. And don't believe a word any of them say. Andrew Garfield proved that he's one of the best actors of our time. Not because of the roles in his on-screen work, which is chef's kiss, but it was the way he was able to hit those red carpets, do those talk shows, and lie through his teeth without even batting an eyelash that he wasn't in Spider-Man No Way Home. So believe nothing that these actors are saying, but we don't want to believe it anyway, right? We want to be kind of surprised, sort of surprised. We got another trailer. We got a trailer of Ryan Coogler's Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan, and Haley Steinfeld. I said Michael B. twice because he plays twins, and pretty much it's like this old kind of like Western town, and we got some vampires, and it looks good. It looks good. And the way you guys are thirsting over Haley Steinfeld when she turns into a vampire talking about killing everybody, you need help. You're sick. Get some help. Man, what else is on the docket? Okay. So, the creator of the Penguin series said he spoke to Matt Reeves, and there's a reason why we didn't see Batman on the Penguin, and that it's a very big city, and Batman's basically busy. But the events of the Penguin, what Oswald has done, will have ramifications in the Batman 2, apparently. I don't buy this for a second. It is a very big city, and there was a massive flood, and Batman is probably like every freaking night, helping people and taking down bad guys, for sure. I buy that. But then when a mob boss escapes prison and kills someone escaping prison, when an entire crime family all just die because of a gas leak, there was enough things that happened in the Penguin that felt like it would have got Batman's attention, especially since he just finished dealing with the Falcons and Oswald. So I buy it for like the first half of the season. Second half, it's hard for me to buy that Batman didn't start getting like, what's going on over there? I don't know. But maybe he was into something very big, and we'll find out what that was in the Batman Part 2, whenever it comes out. Speaking of whenever it comes out, remember that series on Netflix called Sandman? Came out in 2022. Can you believe that was 3 years ago? Well, we're getting a season 2 this year. They haven't given us a date, and it will be its final season. Apparently, they ran out of story, didn't run out of story. They've completed the story they wanted to tell. They're not going to stretch this thing and milk it with a bunch of fillers. They're just going to tell their story, and they'll be done in season 2. And that's all the news. Now I want to talk about a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Here's a little review. Spoiler free first. I loved it. I freaking loved it. I don't know why people are hating on it, especially if you're a fan of the MCU. Like it fits perfectly in the MCU, and I'll elaborate further. But I loved it. I mean, so far it's like an 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 for me. I had no issues with it. I haven't liked the Spider-Man cartoon since Spectacular Spider-Man. If you know, you know. Now I'm getting into spoilers. The reason why I say it's tucked into the MCU is because it's obviously playing in that it's a multiverse. It's not the MCU's universe, but it's a what if of that Peter Parker. So in the beginning of this series, we see Peter and Aunt May, who looks very much like Marissa Tomei. He sounds very much like Tom Holland. It gives us that Queens kind of logo, and a lot of it feels like the introduction, especially towards the end of like when his introduction in Civil War. We'll get there. But basically, you see Peter with his aunt getting driven to school because he's late. He doesn't have his powers yet, no costume to give us a psych there. And they talk about Uncle Ben, who died prior to the spider bite, which fills in so many blanks for me, because if this is a what if kind of adjacent side universe of the MCU, it makes sense, because Tom Holland's Spider-Man, there wasn't any indication that his Spider-Man was influenced by Ben Parker's death to be a hero. Great power, with great power comes great responsibility, was given to him by Aunt May at the end or before the third act of No Way Home. So that's the reason why Tom Holland's Peter didn't have all this angst and have all this edge, because I don't think his Peter had to lose Uncle Ben to learn to use his powers to help people. I feel like he kind of started doing it on his own, and obviously it's because he was raised right, but he didn't carry that weight of tragedy. Not until No Way Home, where Aunt May dies because Peter wanted to save the villains instead of killing them, and then he has to learn with great power comes great responsibility. And that's why his Peter now is forever changed. So if this mirrors that, then it makes sense that this Peter also didn't go through that with his Uncle Ben. So when we see Peter at school, a portal opens up. Doctor Strange comes down with some venom-looking thing. You guys probably know the name of it, and he's fighting it. Doctor Strange is like, oh no, we're not supposed to be here. It's a different universe. And as they're fighting and everything, Nico gets hurt, and Peter goes to fight the monster or save her or distract the monster without powers, giving us that kind of Steve Rogers moment of Peter acted heroically without the costume or the powers, which shows why he's very different than the Peters in the comics and the other movies. So if you were looking forward to more of a comic, more traditional Peter, and not like a side MCU version, I can understand your disappointment. For me, I expected it to be more MCU. This technically was supposed to be a prequel series to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and you can definitely see where the way the story plays out in that sense. So I'm kind of watching it like a parallel universe to the events of the MCU. And if you do that, I think you'll have a great time. So a spider comes out of that portal. Peter's spider bite is from a spider, not even from his world, which is very interesting. And we kind of flash forward, and he's wearing his makeshift Spider-Man costume, doing the things we imagine Tom Holland's Spider-Man was doing before he meets Tony Stark. I love it. You do some interesting thing with his cast. We have Nico, who is in the Runaways, right? And then Pearl, who's a superhero in her own right, and Lonnie Lawton, the quarterback, who is Tombstone. And what's really cool about doing a universe that's outside the MCU and Marvel Comics is that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if this Lonnie is going to become Tombstone. We don't know if these people will become their hero and villain counterparts or not, similar to the MCU. Like, I believe Peter's friend Ned becomes like Hobgoblin or a version of Hobgoblin or something, but that may never happen in the MCU. So I like not knowing. I don't want to watch a true depiction of something I've already seen. I love Invincible, but I've read it all. So I'm never on the edge of my seat when I watch the animated series because I've already seen it. So I enjoy this is a little different. You may not. I love the character designs. The animation took a little getting used to at first. But once you kind of get into it, similar to, I think, Spider-Verse, much lesser. but I got into it, and honestly, once it starts moving and the web swinging and the fighting and the choreography, it looks amazing in motion. Other parts feel very stilted. I love that Ditko kind of style, sort of, the modern Ditko style. It feels like you're watching a comic book kind of come to life. And remember, it's on a TV budget, so it's not going to look like Spider-Verse. It takes years for them to get Spider-Verse right. This is very different. I love the story arcs with the characters. My favorite superheroes have secret identities. So to see Peter in high school and dealing with all this stuff and dealing with the things that we dealt with in high school. I like the girl, she doesn't like me. I enjoy that. I like superheroes who just superhero full time. You know, I'm just Thor all the time. That's great. But I do love superheroes who have to be Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne or Peter Parker. I do prefer those secret identity superheroes. So this is right up my alley. And at the end of the first episode, which plays exactly the same as Civil War, except that it's Norman Osborn who's in there and not Tony Stark, which kind of takes this Earth that was like running parallel to the MCU, and now it splinters into a different direction, which I find very interesting. Peter goes to this kind of new part-time job in this lab where he screws up everything because he has to get out and be Spider-Man and fight this fire guy. Don't know his name, tell me his name in the comments. And I thought it was a dope sequence. Much better than his first fight sequence. I had a problem with his first fight sequence. When you see a guy jump onto a wall and stick there, as the bully's bullying Harry Osborn, they didn't respond to him like, this is weird. Why is this guy sticking to the wall? Like, you're going to continue to fight this guy? Needed more logic around those guys. We did see him stop the bus, which is very similar to, I think, Tony Stark showing him the footage of him stopping the bus in the MCU. Anyway, back in episode 2, Peter pretty much screws up his part-time internship and got caught on cameras by Norman Osborn changing into Spider-Man, which really changes things. I love the series, man. I love it. Not too many things are bad for me. It's actually refreshing. I did not care for Ultimate Spider-Man. I didn't care for the Spider-Man that came on after that. I forgot the name of it. This feels right. I don't get all the hate. People are mad at race swapping. It's a multiverse. It's literally a multiverse. So yeah, in Tom Holland's universe, his MJ looks like Zendaya. And in Tobey's universe, his MJ looks like Kirsten Dunst. It's a multiverse. And when you got a guy like Coleman Domingo lending his voice, the gravitas, the strength, the sophistication, the intelligence, you're telling me Coleman Domingo would not be a great Norman Osborn? It's not 1960s anymore, guys. It's 2025. Coleman Domingo would kill Norman Osborn. His voice is amazing. His acting is chef's kiss. So I don't got a problem with that. And I enjoy seeing the difference. I'm happy that we don't have a Mary Jane or a Gwen Stacy, because we would know exactly where that's going. I like not knowing where it's going. And they can always pop up later. So that's my 2 cents. I'm really enjoying a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching it, man. This is what we're going to do. We're just talking geek. Let's just talk geek. Let's have some fun. We have some really cool stuff coming up, man. We got this week. We have what comes out this week. February 6th. What comes out this week? I just saw it. Yo. Okay, it's escaping me. Let me know in the comments section. But we got Daredevil Born Again coming out soon. We got Invincible Season 3 coming. Invincible Season 3 comes out later this week. That's what I was thinking about. We got Invincible coming out like in a couple days. Yo, it is such a good time to be a geek. We got Captain America coming out next week. We got Superman and Fantastic Four in the summer. We got The Boys last season dropping this year. Sandman's coming out this year. Last of Us Season 2 is coming out soon. I don't see what there's to complain about. There's so much to complain about right now in this world. We are so divided in every which way. Let's unite around this geek stuff. Let's unite around toys and comics. And if we're going to have a debate, let's have a fun one. Let's not get too crazy, man. It's just toys. Anyway, I'm out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'll see you same super time, same super channel. Peace.